there's this process that I wanted to talk about. We spend so much time wondering why we still feel bad about ourselves when we're meditating every day, or when we're doing the shadow work, or when we're trying to connect and we're trying to connect and we're trying to connect. And yet every single day, a lot of us are still stuck in this negative rabbit hole of not really knowing how to get out of it. What I've come to understand over the last couple of years is that that negative rabbit hole comes from being addicted to yourself. And when I came to accept that I was addicted to myself, that I was addicted to my patterns, that I was addicted to that negative spiral, that I was addicted to the anger, that I was addicted to the sadness. And I know it sounds strange, but when I came to that moment where I was able to accept that I was addicted to myself, I was then able to create a separation. And that separation is really what was my start to being able to move out of some really, really, really dark places that I was stuck in. And now what I'm able to do is every single time I have a feeling come up that I know is me not in balance, it's a feeling that I do not want to have. I know that that is an opportunity for me to either hold space for that feeling and surrender it to the universe, or I can jump on the train and go down the track with that feeling. And if I continue that, then I'm going to end up in a really, really, really dark space. And it does not take very long for me to jump on the train and go down into a dark space if I let that feeling stay there. Because then for me, what happens is I might have a thought and then I'll have a feeling, and then that feeling creates another thought, and then that thought creates another feeling, and it's just tung, 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 until I am so far down the train line that I don't know how to get myself back. And then I have to pull myself back, and it can sometimes take days and weeks. And this is a long time ago, actually, not a while ago. It was a long time ago that I was stuck in this pattern of not realizing that I kept getting on the train and going down the track, and that train would always crash into a wall, and it would always leave me kind of in a puddle and just a mess on the ground. What I didn't realize, and what I realize now, is that most of my time I have spent creating that separation, creating the separation between my patterns, my thoughts, and me. Because if you come from a space that you are the manifestation of non physical energy in this physical body, then you're able to create separation by understanding that you have patterns and you have thoughts and you have feelings, but they are not you. You are you. You are the manifestation of non physical energy in this physical body. And when you create that separation, then all of a sudden the patterns and the feelings and the thoughts that you have, the power is just a little bit less of what they have over you. Their control over you is just a little bit less. Doesn't mean that miraculously overnight you're going to suddenly wake up the next morning and not be influenced by your thoughts and your feelings or your patterns. It means that when a feeling comes up, you can recognize, hang on a minute, this is not me, this is a lie. And you can deal with the pattern. You can hold space for it and surrender it. If you have a thought come up, you know the thought is coming from a pattern. So you hold space and surrender it. If you have a feeling, hold space and surrender it. It means that you've got enough separation between you and you to be able to hold space and surrender what you no longer want to have. The hard thing, though, is that sometimes, because we're so addicted to our thoughts and we're so addicted to our feelings, we're so addicted to feeling angry. And I know that sounds strange, but in my experience, we are so addicted to being angry at ourselves, at the world, at our family, at the government. We're so addicted to that hit that the anger gives us, that to put it down and to let it go and to stop fighting for our right to be right is a real challenge. And the brain has this amazing ability of knowing exactly what thought you need to have to bring up the feeling that gives you the hit that you're addicted to, that you go straight down that rabbit hole again. And it knows, because it's yours, it's inside of you. It is so well trained to take you away from oneness. And that's exactly what the brain's role is, right? The brain's role is to keep you separate from oneness. Your role, I believe, your role is to find oneness in this physical body and reconnect to your creation, to God, to the universe, to source, whatever you want to call it. Your role, I believe, on this planet is to refine that connection to self, refine that connection to oneness. The brain's role is to keep you separate. So your role is to figure out how to stop separating every time your brain jumps up and gives you a thought or gives you a feeling. Every time that happens, if you react to the brain, then you're coming out of oneness. But if you understand that the brain's role is to keep you separate and you create separation between you and your brain, you and your thoughts, you and your feelings, you and your patterns, if you can create separation between you and you, then all of a sudden, when your brain comes up with a thought and your body comes up with a feeling, then you're not pushed out of separation because you're in a space of observing it. You can see it happening. You can watch it. You can watch the brain have a thought, but that does not mean that you have to entertain that thought. It does not mean that you have to participate with the thought. You can simply see it and go, yeah, okay. And there was a period of time where my brain had a thought and I would look at it and go, and it'd start to lose itself. And I go, and until the end, it came to this point where it's like, and nothing. And it's almost like it stormed off like a child having a tantrum and nothing. And then it would storm off. But for me, that looking at my brain and going, and, it created separation for me. And my feelings, to create the separation, I would sit and look at my feelings. And when you understand that you are not the one having the feelings, you're the one looking at the feelings, then you've all of a sudden got this separation. If you can sit with your eyes closed, do it with me right now. If you can, close your eyes, as long as you're not driving. If you can close your eyes and take a minute and feel in your body and feel a feeling and look at it. Look internally at that feeling. So you're not the one having the feeling, you're the one looking at the feeling. You can open your eyes now. There's a difference. And when you can understand that there is a distinct difference between the person having the feeling and the person looking at the feeling, you can create that separation. It's been the simplest way that I've been able to create separation from my feelings. And now, every single time I have a feeling that I do not want to have, I can hold space for it and surrender it to the universe. And then it goes. And I'm a firm believer that we have all these patterns that are creating all of these thoughts and all of these feelings. And as you go along through life and you have an experience, it brings up a feeling, you realize that the experience was there to create the feeling so you could see the pattern that you have inside of your body, so then you can surrender it to the universe. And we get to a point where we have no more patterns because we've surrendered them all to the universe and we are simply here in oneness, in the moment that we're experiencing right now. And when you get to that level of vibration, life is completely different. However, for most of us, we are still living based on all of these patterns inside our bodies. And we've spent so long holding on to the patterns and living life through the patterns and letting the patterns dictate. And we're so addicted to all of these different hits and all of these different patterns that it's not a 5-minute job where we sit down for 5 minutes and breathe and appreciate, and then all of a sudden our life is completely different. It does not work that way for most of us. Sure, there are stories out there of people that sat down and they did a 1-hour meditation and the next day their life completely changed. Of course, that happens for some people. And for others, like me, sitting down and doing a 1-hour meditation is not it. For me, it is every moment is an opportunity to experience a feeling, recognize that feeling is a lie, have the separation and surrender the pattern that's creating the feeling, or have a thought, realize that thought is not mine, Let's create the separation between me and that thought and surrender it to the universe. And for me, it's not something that I just sit and do for an hour or 2 hours every day in meditation or 5 minutes in meditation. It's something that I'm doing consistently throughout the day. I wake up in the morning, I wake up with a feeling. I'm feeling that feeling. I'm holding space for that feeling. I'm surrendering it to the universe. And then I'm getting up and I'm going about my day, and then something happens. I'm using that as an experience to go, here's a pattern. It's almost for me like the universe is going, here is a pattern. Here's a feeling that tells you that the pattern is a lie. It's a feeling that you do not want to have. It's an opportunity to surrender that pattern up to the universe. And that is how I see where we're at now. It was very different 10 years ago. It was very different 20 years ago when I first started doing this work. 20 years ago, it was more about getting in and going, where was it? Where did it come from? Where did that thought come from? What created it? It was just this massive level of awareness of every single part of yourself, massive levels of awareness. And we did spend a lot of time in awareness of sitting and looking at all of our shadow side and looking and going, what was the story? How old were you? What color was it? How did it feel? Was it thick? Was it gray? Was it black? Was it blue? Is it soft? Is it like a cloud? Is it hard like tar on the ground? These were the things that we were doing 15, 20 years ago. You were really delving in to really get the full story of whatever that thing is that was coming up. Now it's completely different. Now, for me anyway, there is no longer this need to go in and learn and pick. Now it is simply, there's a feeling that I do not wish to have. I know it's attached to a pattern. I'm holding space for the pattern and I'm surrendering it to the universe. And I know that there comes a time where you go through enough of these patterns, like I said before, you go through enough of these patterns that now you're in a sense of oneness. Now you're connected to the truest part of you. And I feel there's a lot of power in that. That's it for today. Thanks so much for watching. See you next time. Bye.